Recently, an awards banquet was held in Milwaukee at Pat's Blue Ribbon Hall to thank individuals responsible for the Decade of Discontent documentary. Community leaders, civil rights activists, members of the press, and others came out for a night of good food, fellowship, and to recognize the efforts of those involved in the struggles of the 60s. Thank you very much. Good evening. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here with you tonight and join in the saluting the people who helped make this thing possible. And as Vail mentioned, I think most of you are aware that a lot of hard work went into the making of this documentary. And tonight will give us a chance to acknowledge those individuals who helped put the documentary together. We're going to do that a little later after we see it. As we see economic conditions in our society worsening, I think it's critically important that we take a look back so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And that's what we try to do with this documentary. And I have to tell you tonight that the idea for this documentary originated back in 1978 when Howard Fuller spoke at a conference that Sarah Ford and I sponsored at Oshkosh. And at that conference, Howard Fuller said that some of the same conditions that led to the rebellions in the 60s exist today. Well, that sort of bothered me, so I guess about 3 years later, I felt that if indeed things had gotten worse, that we had better be about the business of resolving some of the problems we face, or deal with the terrible consequences of not learning from the past. And I felt that a documentary was one way to take that look back and lay the issues out for the public. Jobs, equal education, housing, and police-black community relations were serious issues then. And I think you would agree with me that they're serious issues now. And at times they're very unpleasant and controversial issues to deal with. But I believe the suffering that many people have to live with is far more unpleasant.
And before I know it, I was on the ground and I was being beaten. I was trying to protect my eyes because I had my eyeglasses on. And he just kept on beating till I said, stop it, my glass is broken. And then he took out his wallet with one hand and the other hand around my neck. He said, I'm a police officer, you're under arrest. I was kind of shocked.
I see the police as an uncomfortable situation again, because I think if you have disproportionate distribution of income, the policeman's job is going to become to maintain people's property. And it unfortunately has less to do with justice than maintaining property. And if you are part of the have-not class, then you become the target of people who have to be controlled. So I think that the police relationship to poor communities is going to always be difficult. And unfortunately in our community, I think we are saddled with a police chief who does not recognize the importance. Again, the man does not live by bread alone. It is important to have a leadership that speaks forthrightly about representing all the people and being concerned about all the issues of justice and not just the enforcement.
Yesterday, I was overwhelmed with charges of police brutality and the handling of the ugly elements in the crowds on the south side. Specifically, the people said the police manhandled them, that there was an abusive use of tear gas. The tear gas was a necessary instrumentation, and I fully defend the police's use of it under the circumstances.
Throughout the 60s, police-black community relations worsened. Howard Fuller describes the relationship.
I think that a wide number of people in the black community view the police as an occupation force. They did in the 60s and they do now.
Everybody wants to live. Don, what was your reactions to the showing of the Decade of Discontent?
First of all, I'd like to commend you, Chuck, and the producers. It was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it tremendously. I think it's also extremely timely. I mean, it took me back to that period of time, and I think it is definitely a need at this day and age for everybody to reacquaint themselves with those issues and those struggles, because the problems are with us still today.
As the narrator in the documentary, how did that make you feel?
Pretty good. I was really proud that I was able to be a part of the documentary. It's a very powerful piece. There was a lot of work put into it, and I think that it's something that was very necessary. It was needed, and I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
Why was Project Self-Help and Awareness involved in production of the documentary?
This is the type of thing we want to promote as far as awareness goes, and that we want to make people aware of what real conditions are, and our goals are to bring dignity and restore justice and equality to people.
You think the message is still relevant today?
Absolutely. In fact, I was kind of chuckling to myself as I watched the documentary, because many of the issues that were prevalent in 1960 are still prevalent today. Unfortunately, in Milwaukee, we still have a great deal of police brutality and seemingly a great deal of insensitivity and rigidness on the part of the police chief. Those things were articulated very clearly during the documentary, and again, they're very prevalent today.
So I think the message is very prevalent, is very applicable today as it was in the 60s. The times are hard now, as it is in employment, in education, and even in housing. And I think the same message in the 60s is very, very appropriate today.
It says so many things. It says that you can make change if you stay with it. It says also that we haven't yet overcome, so we still have a long way to go. But it gives you hope. It makes you know that even though we have not come all the way, we're at the 50-yard line and moving.
It took many individuals working together to complete the documentary. This banquet gave us a chance to honor them. The researchers, the artists, individuals who helped line up photos, the 60s footage, were all honored. The narrator, interviewers, Project Self-Help and Awareness, the TV stations that made the documentary possible, were all thanked as well. A special recognition was awarded Father James Groppe, Wisconsin Secretary of State Bill Phillips, and Attorney Lloyd Barbie. It was truly a night to remember. This is my last show on Madison's Minority Side. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank not only the station, but all the people who helped put this thing together. And so in departing, I'd like to say goodbye and good luck.